Now, for me, I don't read a lick of music. I do not read a lick of music. You know, I know some guitar chords. I taught myself. I'm a lefty. You know, at the end of the day, when I'm connecting with people, I'm allowing my intuition. Not to say I'm having this crystal ball and saying some, you know, crazy chant or anything. I mean, at the end of the day, my intention is to really create a space. And when I create, I hold an intention. And I allow myself to really get that music. Now, it depends if I'm, with that process alone, that's one thing. If I'm working with different people, I would usually ask them to pick reference examples from what resonates with them.
Right.
That might be a good brand if I'm doing it for a podcast or something. In this case alone, I would tune in and I would ask them, you know, how they want to be feeling and ultimately tune into it. And maybe the only request I've really heard from the 40 some odd ones that I've done is, hey, would you mind turning up the volume, or would you mind putting less reverb on my voice?
So what kind of feedback are you getting once the people are actually doing the affirmations, listening to the personalized music? What kind of feedback do you get of their experience?
So this is where it gets interesting. I say holy shift, you know, because the thing is, when I was having quite a few people and I guess you could say I was test marketing and just finding different ways to go about it, I would usually say, so in the future, you know, now you are in the future, wherever you are, and just share with me. Now that I've had more of a time-sensitive approach to it, I'm noticing people are definitely experiencing pretty massive transformations.
So you're talking about actually in the future, after the first intake session, after the first couple of intake sessions,
yeah.
You're 2 weeks or a month or 2 months down the road, and now you're asking people to observe what's happened since the first intake session, right? Well, or are you actually asking them to go into an imaginary place in the future?
Good question. Well, first of all, what I do is I want to make sure they're ready to go inside and be ready to go in and do the affirmations. So what I do is I usually offer a session first to see if they're willing to go in. And if they are, just do a little bit of, you know, not digging, but just asking them questions and just gauging what's going on. I usually offer complimentary discovery sessions anyway. So what happens is when I connect with them, and here we are with, you know, the session, I didn't have that support system in place when I was doing these with the others. This is like a newer offering, combining them together.
Yeah.
Just before I figured it might be too separate. So at the end of the day, what I decided to do is just have that before, you know, for the past couple of years, especially when I've been pursuing this more of a full-time thing. I really came up with the concept, or wanted to apply it in 2014, 2015. So I've been doing this for a while. There's a woman who I worked with in the music industry, since this is timely.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say her name. Her testimonial is up on my website.
Okay.
And she came to me at one point, and I gifted her. I figured, great, she may know some people. I'll be able to gift her with this. And so I didn't know her circumstances. All I knew is she was looking for a place to live. And she was living in a very crummy place in Vegas. I had no idea what the circumstances or dynamics were. And here I am in touch with her 3 months later. And
so this is after the affirmation session?
Okay. And I asked her, and the process was just a little bit different, but it is what it is, right? And so here I am having a conversation. So I said, so tell me what's been going on. And she says, Robert, you are not going to believe this. Here I was staying in a really crappy part of Vegas, staying on an air mattress. And here, just really shabby part. Just my room was just really just dingy and just, well, she didn't say that, but anyway, she was living in a really bad part of Vegas. She was looking for a place to live, and she was saying, you know, maybe I should listen to the affirmation that Robert made. And so the part of her was going, yeah. And she was thinking about
a little skeptical.
Very skeptical. Well, it seemed like she was skeptical at first. And then she was realizing, you know what, and she was thinking
nothing to lose, right?
She was thinking about doing like this weekly rate at this hotel. She goes, you know what, I'm going to put it on. She was thinking, and she goes, you know what? Yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I can manifest a home, because her affirmation was about manifesting a home.
Okay. So you get specific like that.
She gets specific.
Okay.
I just ask her to just be as visceral, to really feel the energy of it, right?
So you create the space, and then the person who steps into the space that I'm not going to say coaching, but that you're working with gets to choose what they want to manifest. Yeah, because at that space, they're no longer having anything that's inhibiting them from getting in the way versus, I'm going to come into the session and I'm going to be bringing in $2 million, and here I am. You don't have to make any promises.
No, for me, I tell them flat out, I'm not responsible for whatever unfolds. My intention is for you to get the most out of whatever's going on. And at the same time, too, the intention is for you to get what you need from this. And if you have any questions, I tend to check out the next day to see how they're integrating, how they're doing with everything, too. So with that being said, too, I give them that ability to viscerally describe. So here she was, and she says, I can. And lo and behold, someone came to her. She says, you're not going to believe this. And they said, hey, I just want you to know, to this woman, you're more than welcome to stay at my place, stay on the grounds and have your room. You can do some work from here. She works in PR, music PR. And yeah, you can look for homes as you're here. She goes, Robert, you're not going to believe this. I have my own pillow top bed in a mansion.
It is interesting, like, because I'm a skeptic, and I think it's a good way to be in a sense, but I'm also open. But I am kind of curious about how we go from something like a simple, like an affirmation or a piece of music that you're repeating, and then to action, like something really tangible happens. It's like, I don't even understand how that, but it's a hot topic. Like, people. Yeah. I mean, and for me, like, I grew up in a very sarcastic kind of family.
Sure.
You know,
Same.
I mean, they're great, but I've been a very negative person, and the affirmations, you are repeating something positive. You're infusing yourself with something positive.
Sure.
And I don't know. I think it does something to our cells, even. And then also, like, with Buddhism, they talk about, like, the pathways in our brain, how we could change them by positive talk.
Yeah.
So
I saw that quote. I was in the Waldorf Astoria, in the back where they let the employees eat. It's like an employee cafe, and there's a quote on the wall that said, "We are what we think." I'm paraphrasing. And then I read the full quote, and then it said Buddha, and I didn't realize that Buddha said that. That Buddha said that our thoughts essentially become real.
There's an amazing space that goes in from, well, this is my right ear, or my left ear. So from here to here, basically, we can do a lot. The thing is, we can't force ourselves to smile. We can attempt to, but we have to be ready for it. So that's why when we had that initial process, people can be as skeptical. You can be as skeptical as you want. I invite you to.
Right.
Because that's what's happening. So there might be some parts of you inside that might be saying, yeah, well, let's see what really happens. I'll believe it when I see it. And there's a lot of axioms in a lot of spiritual realms, and they would say seeing is believing.
Yeah.
Versus, believe, and some people say believing is seeing.
But you do have to be open to it. Because if you're just like, not be negative, and not going to try it, or maybe just, shove it aside, then I mean, nothing's going to happen then.
Something else is going to work. I mean, not resonate right now. And if anything, I like to ask people too, depending on whether you're, I don't know. Okay, well, we can go as deep as you want or as little, as long as you're able to give me some information and you're open. That's a big step. I mean, we're sitting here, and I'm not talking down to people. I mean, I'm having conversations just like this. And of course, some people may be feeling a little sensitive. I mean, we all have our certain emotional bandwidths. Sometimes we have our guards up. I don't know if I can really trust that person. Is the person really going to me over? So at the end of the day, I mean, are we really willing to open up? Are we really willing to get vulnerable? Because if you really want to experience these changes, there's a difference between intention and expectations. And I know for me, I mean, definitely unintentional. There's times I have unintentional expectations. I mean, even going to a movie with my girlfriend, I tend to have like these unintentional expectations. Hey, I was thinking I could go see the movie with you or something.
Right.
And this is me, working on affirmations. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if people are usually receptive to what's going on, I don't like to push them. It's sometimes coaching, some people need to push other people into a specific area, and sometimes they feel comfortable, so they might be wanting to be pushed.
Sure.
And for me, I don't.
And you kind of create that space to kind of gauge where a person's at, which is really great.
And that's where the discovery sessions come through too. When I first connect with people, I have complimentary half-hour discovery sessions just to see where they are, just to see if anything seeks their interest, whether they have a business or it's them wanting a piece of music or even having some extra support. So it's amazing.
I have to mention, because today, there's been 2 suicides this week. Kate Spade and Anthony Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain?
Yes.
No way.
Yeah. You both didn't know?
I did not. No.
Yeah, Anthony Bourdain, and they both suffered with depression, and they're not in the music industry, but they're both artists and entrepreneurs. They have it all. They're people that have it all. And it's like, that's why I created Music Emerging, just to have a place where people could go to that has a lot of different resources. But I think there's a big stigma in, like you said, people, maybe they're guarded or they're uncomfortable. I think there's a stigma surrounding mental health and seeking help.
Or what are they going to think? Oh, gosh, well, I'm going to this, so what is everyone else going to think? Well, they don't have to think anything because what they're doing is private.
Yeah. Right.
So at the same
but
time,
I think
too,
people, they're not seeking help. You know what I mean?
No, they may not be ready though.
Yeah.
I mean, they may need it, but they may not be ready for it. So, for instance, there's times where I'm wondering, gosh, what's happening with my moods? And, you know, I tend to suffer from depression and anxiety quite a bit, whether it may be financial at times.
Join the club on that one.
You know, there's a lot of
Yes.
starving musicians, you know, and at the same time, too, I mean, we're all able to attract great things, and we all have the ability and possibilities to manifest what we want. Now, there's so many ways, there's so many courses, there's so many summits and master classes, they're calling them.
I found that there can be too much information, and for me, I've really wanted to just not have any more information.
Yeah, it's overload. Living in so much overload.
Right, and intentionally put myself in a place where I can sort of breathe and have the space to organically sort of feel out what to do next, right? Rather than seek out another guru or another YouTube channel. And not that those things are not useful and incredibly valuable.
Before, exactly.
But you know, and when it comes to you know, what you're talking about, the binaural beats and the vibrational, you know, the music that you're offering, that is huge. That can be huge. But what I like about it is that it's simple. You know, it's nothing more than like a simple thing that you can put into your earbuds morning, you know, when you wake up and then right before you go to bed, and it's nothing more than that. You don't have to do anything really.
And music's so universal.
Music is a great thing as well. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the same time too, I figured if people have questions, if they feel inclined to, I'm pretty proactive. So if I have any questions, I could always pick up a call. There's one woman from Australia who took on my services, and she's a musician. And I mean, wow. I mean, just be able to work with her, I've already seen shifts.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a person who wasn't able to, you know, create in terms of just trust, you know, in terms of trusting people. I'm not going to say names because obviously it's confidential. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just being able to see her being willing to explore because she's tried the therapy route. Not to say again, my way's better.
Exactly.
I look at these different things like religion. It may not be. What if you want to have a little bit of Buddhism? What if you want to have a little bit of Judaism? What if there's a reason why they call them Jubus. So at the end of the day, I mean, there's just so much. So imagine going to the deli of sound or the deli of holding space, basically, and you're able to pick and choose like a Chipotle or these, you know, choose your own, and we're able to co-create something that's really applicable for you, whether if you're a meat eater, vegan, you know, whatever works.
Take what works from each of these.
And it may not work tomorrow, and that's okay because that's when we're able to connect again if you feel called, because we're not the same person even a moment from now.
Yeah, and I'm just so glad we're having this podcast and having you on so that we can have we can show people that there is another aspect that they can look into for healing and something to try. You know, it's something different, and maybe it would really work for someone. You know, I've tried like lots of different things, and like you said, some things worked, they didn't resonate with me at all, and then other things did. So it's just good to have the information, I think.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, if I were a musician just listening to this podcast episode or watching the video, you know, and I wanted to know, you know, what's something that could take place for me if I decided to go with one of your compositions and get my own audio clip. I know there's a name for it. It's
okay.
Escaping me at the moment.
All good. Yeah.
So so if I wanted to get my own little piece of music that you create and have it tailored to me and what I need, then what sort of transformations could I expect, or the inner themes that we were talking about? What sort of things might I expect to come up? Self-discoveries.